Okay, so continuing on from our previous video, if you've been following our series, I'm going to go and understand right now the domain task statements. And I want to go ahead and actually understand the domain task statements as it actually has listed right here. Give me a second. It actually had domain task statement. I basically actually had all this information, domain 1 in one sentence, and it gave me this information right here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to move this guy aside. I'm going to take this and I'm actually just going to go ahead and this is just me understanding what is a domain task, blah, 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 like knowledge, skills in. And I am just going to go ahead and actually add this guy in here. So now that I actually understand it like this, read them carefully. Didn't write these in random order. Teaches you how a single agent runs a task, multiple agents organize, and how the agent. Got it. So I'm going to take that right now and I'm going to say this. Okay. Can you help me generate right now a better understanding of the domain task statements like you did with domain 1, and I want you to provide it to me in exactly the same format that you did with domain 1, starting off with domain 1 in one sentence, what domain 1 is about, one thing, and giving me an explanation as well as a visual, just like you did with the chart that you listed out with the 7 task statements. And I want you to do this for the remaining domains that we have. And I'm going to be following the schedule that you have outlined for me. I want you to go ahead and do this one at a time, starting with domain 3, then domain 4, then domain 2, and then domain 5 for each of the task statements. But I want you to do it one at a time so I can verify that the results are coming out exactly the way that I want it. At the bottom, you also had a section where you said the thread running through all 7, read them again. You'll notice that they build on top of each other. I want you to go ahead and actually have that thread for each of the remaining domains as well. In addition, I also want you to explain to me the knowledge of as well as the skills in for each of the domains that I'm listing out, starting with domain 3, that's aligned with our schedule. Now, right before you created the visual for domain 1 in one sentence, which I really appreciate, I asked you what knowledge of and what skills in actually mean. I need that now pertaining specifically to the domain that I'm asking you to prompt for. And in addition to giving me a product manager analogy, I also want you to provide me with a business analogy. More specifically, it would probably help me understand it best, like for somebody that's coming from like a sales, marketing, and recruiting background for myself. Let's do this one at a time. Confirm with me after domain 3 before moving on to the next domain if there's any adjustments. And then after that, I want you to provide the same results along with any updated instructions if there are any for the following domains until we have the task statements, a good understanding of the task statements, knowledge of, and the skills in for all of the domains. And then I'm going to go ahead and take a look at what we basically just have up here. Afterwards, we'll be moving on to the vocabulary for each of the domains that we have listed before moving on to the sample questions. Now we get it. Now give me a second here. So now we have it basically very specifically in this format. And this is actually what I want people to understand, that when they are going for the top level jobs right now, you're not demonstrating, the biggest mistake that a lot of professionals are making is you're not demonstrating your proficiency in this domain or like AI, okay? Like if the company decided to hire you as a self-defense coach and you're ex-special forces, your job is not to go out there and just show people how badass you are. We already know. I mean, that's part of the reason why, like, if HR was doing their job and they went through the same the right amount of due diligence, your competency in this domain has already been established. It's whether or not you can get a regular Joe like me to feel like I could be Jason Bourne. That's where the real money is they gotta feel like they could operate at your level, right? What I've done so far is to try to highlight that is we're gonna take a very big problem, we're gonna break it down, and then now that we have this understanding of all these different domains and we have all this information here, what's going to be coming up next is like, okay, if we understand the domain and we understand the task statements, now we can go ahead and approach the sample questions with a higher degree as that thing is continued to prompt. Now we can go ahead and approach it with a certain degree of confidence because we're going to go and follow our schedule here. And as you notice, we can't just 100% rely on AI, right? Which is actually why I have my Notion document set up the way it is. Because when anything else happens, I can always just go back to my study plan and then I remember, okay, all right, we're doing this. It's not going to take me until all week to go out there and do the task statements for this. I can now, if I understand what these task statements, these domain task statements need or how they read, and I have an understanding of the vocabulary, and I need to understand the task statement. It's telling me right now, okay, you need to understand the task statements first. You need to understand, like, why not the vocab first? Well, vocab without context is just a list of words. Like, you'll memorize is retriable, but you have no idea when the exam is going to test it different from is error, and we don't know. So now that I know the task statements and now that I know the vocab list, now it's like we can go in because most of it is these sample questions seem like it's in a foreign language. It might as well be in an alien language because you have no idea what it's asking for. So if we can get a better if we know now, that's why one of the first things that I ask is, what is this exam even trying to assess for? And it actually said this, like, here's it in plain English, okay? Here's a system that's broken or could be designed better, and here are 4 ways to go out there and actually like fix it. So like it's actually every single question. Oh, now if you explain it to me like that, well, now I have a better understanding. I'm following the game plan. I'm understanding the scenarios first, and then I'm going to go ahead and actually work on the domains, not in the vocabulary. And then once I understand the vocabulary, now I can understand how to attack the sample questions. So that in itself, what I'm hopefully trying to do, because I'm getting a lot. The amount of hate and troll statements I get from engineers is crazy. And we, like any other business, we've also spent money interviewing people. That's why I think our instructors are the best. But I wanted to go out there and do two things. Number one is inspire a sense of like, this is how you can learn it, because there's only more tools coming out. Next month, who the hell knows? It could be Cursor, right? But I want to go out there and inspire a sense of confidence where it's like, how can you go out there, break this thing down, and actually learn it if you were to go ahead and do it on your own? Because once you actually go out on the job site, that's actually where they're going to be hiring a lot of people. They're going to be hiring people based upon how you make them feel. And if people feel like this person here is making it too difficult, or they're like, yo, there's no way I'm going to ever be able to get this if we decide to go with this person, they're not going to go ahead and continue working with that person anymore. So I have this. So I'm going to go back over to the task statement right here. Task statement. So I'm going to go at number 3, and I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. Hell, I might even just move this shit all the way to the top, because it's not like this information is helping me out at all, right? So, and then I am going to go out there and put a little divider so I remember. I get all these, let me know in the comments, man. I get all these little troll statements where like, he has to do all this stuff. It's like, no, I don't know it as well as you do, not yet. But once I do, then my people do. And once my people do, then it's GG for you. Okay, so just like domain 1. Okay, so I'm going to have all of this. I'm going to take this. And I'm going to make an adjustment right here. Yes, this format 100% works. However, for the thread running through all 5, I want it in a list format, like 3.1 answers in one line, 3.2 answers in the second line, and then 3.3 in the following line. I don't want it in this gigantic paragraph. I want it in a line, so I can add it as a bulleted list onto my Notion or Google Doc afterwards so that I can memorize it better. Giving it to me in this full paragraph like this, where it's running on one sentence after the other sentence without it being in a list format where it's line by line, is going to make it very overwhelming for me. So if you can do that, much appreciated. Quick tip, always talk to your AI. Be nice to your AI, you know. You can start on the next domain now. And let that thing run it. So now we basically have this. So this is actually a little bit more, see, this is actually what you learn coming in from like a liberal arts major is, you know, you learn how to go ahead and organize information. Right, now that I have domain 3 up, now it just makes it so much easier for me to study this information, right? Because I'm breaking it down by the domain. And like the more organized your little study cheat sheet is, it just makes for everything to be a little bit easier. And then we're going to do this for domain 4. And then I'm going to look on ahead because I'll have all this domain stuff done. But just like this too, it's like it gave me like a list of like, what am I supposed to do with this? Right? Versus like, okay, now I have everything organized by domain. Okay, now I can actually use this information, right? And then that's still too much. So I broke down each vocab by the domain. So this is like just the stuff that I need to know with domain one. So the way that you're not going to have your brain be as overwhelmed, because that's when the imposter syndrome starts setting in, where you just start thinking to yourself like, I'm not going to get this. That's actually where people start quitting. I don't want you to quit. I want you to take the best jobs that are out there for product management and like forward deployed engineers, you know. So now we basically have this. Please move on to domain 2. So hopefully, I get so many engineers that troll. I don't know why. I guess they feel like it's a threat because, like, I don't know. Like, I think like if there's like, if you really want to put the effort into doing something well, you can if you really wanted to. You know, like, that's just the way that I operate. And when you're talking about, like, when we do this for companies, they really appreciate it because they're like, hey, our people right now, they feel like they could actually learn this instead of like somebody that's coming in here and making them feel very dumb. Or even the people, they either get a few types of people on the job side. People have been asking me a lot about this. It's like they either make them feel very dumb, or they just smile and say, well, you know, it's really complicated. It's like, so why did we hire your ass again? Like, bro. You know, makes me want to go back to that Ari Gold scene, like from that show. Like, what do we pay you for? You know, but mind you, though, this field is so new that they don't actually. A lot of these people actually don't have like, even the people. And I want to be clear. I'm not here to troll, right? I'm here to help. Is that even the people that want to do well on this, they don't really, unless you're coming out from our program. People are like, you keep flexing your program. Hell yeah, man. This is a for-profit business, yo. What do you think this shit is? Freaking the Red Cross? Like, even the people that want to do well on it, because they've never had the training, they actually cannot do well on it. They really cannot. So, and they don't have a good reference. But I understand too. Like, if I had to go out there and teach a bunch of people that did not know how to speak Chinese, I'd be probably pretty aggravated every single day because it's like, yo, that's what I grew up speaking at home. I never signed up for this as a job. You know, like, so I empathize, but you know, we're also trying to go out there and get everybody paid, right? So yes, please move on with domain 5. I think it's also really important here that we also be very cognizant that we don't want to just do all of it at once. We want to do one domain at a time. We want to do one domain at a time. So now I have all my task statements, and then I can go out there while I'm eating my freaking salad. I can go out there and actually feel a little bit better about myself. So with domain 1, I have all this info right here. Amazing. And as you can see, it highlights the scenario. So that's how you want to make the person feel good about actually learning this. Like, okay, all right. So if I understand right now, okay, domain 4, what knowledge of and what skills actually mean. Knowledge means you understand the vague instructions fail. Okay. So now that I know how to read it, because at the end of this, I'm going to go ahead and create an app that's actually going to read it back over to you. It's like, so what's it really asking for? When Claude flags too many false positives, okay, so I understand it from like a sales, you know, a vague search, okay, knowledge of, okay, product manager, right, a bug triage. So now that I have basically these examples, I'm going to get all this information. So like domain 5. Domain 5 is about one thing. How do you keep AI systems reliable over time? So let's go back to this right now. Domain 5 is context management and reliability task statements. Okay. So, reliability, context. Now I have a bit like, I understand that much, making sure it doesn't lose critical information as conversations get longer. Okay. Know exactly when to hand off to a human, never loses track of where its conclusions came from. What knowledge of and skills in mean for domain 5 specifically. Knowledge of in domain 5 means you understand why AI systems degrade in long sessions, what causes them to lose information, what the 3 legitimate triggers for escalating to a human are. You can explain the lost in the middle effect, why 97% accuracy aggregate can still hold a catastrophic failure, and why source attribution disappears during summarization. Skills in domain 5 equals like you can look at a degrading system, prescribe the right fix, da 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 da. The sales and recruiting analogy of a whole domain. Domain 5 is the account management quality control. A great account manager keeps a running brief of every client, right? So, okay, it's putting it in a way that I can understand it. So, manage conversation context. What it's really asking for, Claude has a fixed amount of working memory. It's content. So that's what a content. Now I know what a context window is, right? As a conversation gets longer, older information starts getting compressed and pushed out. Okay, I understand that. Critical facts, exact dollar amount, specific date, specific commitment gets lost or it gets distorted. This task statement is about how you architect a system to prevent that loss. The business problem it solves. A customer support agent is 45 minutes into resolving a billable dispute. Early in the conversation, the customer said, I was da 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 da. Okay, yo, just even reading this right now, I'm feeling so much better about my own study plan, yo. Because now people got to go ahead and actually feel like it's possible for them, right? Like this is actually what I tell the people that are in our program. Yo, like, I know if I enlist in the Marines, I'm going to be a badass, you know. It's possible, but I got to feel like it's possible for me. You know, one of the most raw things I've ever heard was we still do, but we used to throw very specifically these investment banking happy hours so that we would go out there and actually talk to investment bankers that like, hey, you know, we helped all these investment bankers and management consultants like transition over to product management. You can talk to this person and, oh yeah, this person here worked at JP Morgan, all that kind of shit. And this one guy, I think he was a few drinks in already. It was freaking hilarious. He's like, I don't give a shit if you got every banker in New York a product manager job. I care if I get a product manager job, right? So, like, the context of it is, like, yes, all of this is, now I'm going to study all of this information here. Like, it's very, very, very important that you know these concepts, but it's even more important whether you are a product manager or a forward deployed engineer, because the biggest market need right now is helping people upskill. And you know, both inside the organization and then also all the opportunities that I talked about outside the organization. People got to feel like they can actually learn it and like they want to. And if you make it, like, I know for a fact, if I did 500 push-ups a day, I'd freaking look like a Marvel superhero if I did it 500 push-ups a day for 30 days. There's really physically nothing stopping me, right? But I got to feel like it's possible. I got to go ahead and make it fun. Otherwise, like, you're just not going to keep up with it, just like a diet. Like, you know what you're supposed to eat. You sure as heck know what you're not supposed to go ahead and eat, right? So now I have all the domains. I'm going to go ahead and actually ask the machine. Okay. Now that we have all the domains, should task statements, and I have a better understanding of what these task statements mean, what does it mean for knowledge of, and what it means for like skills in. What is the next step? Are we moving on to the vocab? Because I actually have a list, or what are we basically doing? Because I do. Like, this is directly copied and pasted from a document that I have on the vocabulary specifically and strictly just for domain 1. Is this sufficient, or should we be building out any more concepts on it? Or should I be studying the task statements? I got a chance to go ahead and skim, or should I go ahead and actually dive into the task statements some more before actually going through the vocabulary? But I'm an overthinker too. Or would having a better understanding of the vocabulary help me understand the task statements and knowledge of and skills in that much more? Basically, I'm trying to understand the bridge between the information that I have access to right now, which I've already organized into different documents to better understand the information and then also compartmentalize this information into my head. I'm trying to understand what are the best things for me to do right now with my time from now into into diving into the sample questions, or should I start diving into the sample questions and referring to these documents as references as I'm going through all of these sample questions, and then ultimately the exam exercises that the study guide PDF is referenced and listed. See also why it's so important. Okay, so where you are right now, there's an honest assessment. This feels like unresolved because you're testing it. Exactly, I'm organizing the information right now seems less overwhelming now that it's better organized and I have more context and an understanding. Stop organizing, start answering the questions. Here's why. The sample questions are not just the test end. You got it right. The concept is solid, move on. You got it wrong. Okay, trying to perfect the understanding of the vocabulary before touching on the questions. Okay, shit. Okay, great. Okay, so here's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to grab this. See all this information here. And I'm just going to add this guy all the way to the bottom right here. And this is going to go ahead. And as mentioned before, I'll have all the resources in here if you have not gotten in yet. And I'm going to add this in here. Okay, so here is, I'm going to go ahead and actually do this right now. So you guys see that I'm doing this in real time. Okay. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and actually do that. What I want you to do before we get to that is I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the vocabulary list that's from the appendix that I have so far for the remaining 4 domains before I get to the sample questions. If you can provide it to me in the exact same format that you provided my domain 1 vocabulary in this list, the same chart, and then also the missing terms with the definitions on the very bottom, I would very much appreciate that. Can we go ahead and actually start with domain 2? I'm going to go ahead and do one domain at a time and work my way from domain 2 down to domain 5. So now we have all this. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah. What I've learned from also just doing like tech consulting and AI training myself is a big part of the anxiety really comes from how am I attacking all this information at the same time? And then them being able to hear it from somebody that comes from, like, people always say, like, you know, that guy Rich, he was like a recruiter. He's not a product manager. I was like, I think that's exactly been the attractive draws, because I can actually communicate it in a way that people actually understand it. Because when you're working in recruiting, you talk to a lot of different people, and like so many people, when they actually have like deal with the initial, when we go back over to like the earning potential, you gotta understand that when you're operating at this level, like you're talking about right now, Wall Street, banks, private equity, hedge funds, big law, they have no shortage of financial resources to bring in top level talent. They go with the former Google, Meta, and all these people. And like people, when they see the background, they're like pumped up. They're very legitimate pumped up. I'm just giving you guys a very honest overview of that. They're like, oh shit, we're getting the best. Google, Meta, TikTok, Stanford, Yale, Wharton, Harvard, Columbia. And then the fight to stay awake, that struggle becomes so freaking real. And they're just like, yo, like, this is so far ahead. And then what they just do is I always see the pattern, they just rotate from like, okay, these people, okay, so we got to try like, and then they just go down to more and more and more non-technical people. And what I've noticed is guys like them, they start taking advantage of this space because they also had that same challenge, which is like, we're bringing in the best of the best, paying top dollar for supposedly top talent. We explain concepts to people in a way they understand it when we have to research a new industry or new sector. And that's what I'm getting. A lot of people working from finance, consulting, law that are like I've been able to go out there and explain to, I've had people tell me like I've been able to explain to my boyfriend or my girlfriend and their friends, like I'm working on this case for this engine failure, and I'm able to go out there and explain engines or like freaking solar panels or this new drug, you know, to go out there and you know, help golden retrievers live longer, right? I'm a big fan of golden retrievers. It's the way in with me. Korean content, golden retrievers. Two keys, clear pathways the key way in my heart, right? And they're like, why are these people? And they're asking them questions, and what they're seeing is just people that are very visibly frustrated, that are like, well, that's really like, that is an answer that they just don't want to hear. And that's actually why like people that don't have a technical background, that actually had this pain like myself of having to solve these problems for myself, it's just coming in here and it's just like, yo, it shouldn't be this complicated. Like I gotta go ahead and explain to people, like I can go ahead and explain to a person what is the difference between a product manager versus like a forward product manager versus a growth product manager, which is what is like monetization product manager, or like you know, the difference between that and a forward deployed engineer versus like an AI engineer, the overlaps and all that. And I don't understand why other people have such a difficult time for it, but all I gotta say is I'm very grateful that they're that bad at their job. Just that, I'm very grateful. Okay, and then give me a second here. I'm going to copy all of this info right here. These are all the missing terms. You know, you see, just organizing the vocab by domains is giving me a better, like, it's giving me I feel like I have a better chance of like learning this right now because now I have some degree. I feel like I have some degree of control versus before I didn't, right? Yes, here's the information. Here are all the words that I have right now. Vocab for domain 3. Can you go ahead and do the same thing? And then I'm going to get domain 4 ready. Domain 3. It does have 6 task statements. So now I'm just going to move this guy. Actually, we're missing that here, right? So I'm actually going to remind myself. I'm probably going to do this thing later. And I am going to go ahead and actually just do this one at a time right now, just organizing this information. And it's already in this little flow right now. So I'm just going to get all this done right here. And then now I'm going to have domain 4. Okay, now let's go ahead and do this for domain 4. See how well we're just training up the, to make sure that's also not hallucinating, right? We're doing like one at a time. It's all this work that you put up front that is going to make such a strong foundation for everything that's going to be easier. Yeah. Because all of this information right now, I'm already manifesting that when I'm going out and talking to other companies and hosting actual hackathons, I want to get this thing down where people within 5 hours on a Saturday, they can just go out there and feel okay, I have everything I need, and in a week, less than a week, just pass this exam. And they just feel, I want people to feel so empowered that they have a certain degree of control in a time when the market is just feels very crazy and volatile, and people feel like they're getting marginalized like crazy out there. You know, yeah, that's what I want. Because the job opportunities out there are just so freaking insane. You know, it's your strongest document of the four. T9 is covered. Okay, and then now let's just go ahead and get to vocab. Okay, now let's go ahead and finish it up with domain 5. And now that we have all this information going in, now we can go ahead and attack the sample questions, right? So I'm going to take this for domain 4. I'm going to copy this onto the clipboard right now. And I'm going to go back over here. And at the bottom, I'm just going to add this little chart. I'm going to take all this info. I'm going to add all this in the bottom. I'm going to go back to 5. Okay. All this hard work. All this hard work. All this hard work. Hard work is what? Hard work is what? Hard work is easy work. And you know what? This easy work right here. This is easy work right here. And we have that. And then now we're just building all this stuff in. So there's two. There's domain 3 and domain 5 that, you know, didn't have, that was missing. One, task statements. And then now we're going to have to go ahead and actually just clean that part up a little bit. Okay, so it also mentioned in domain 3, we're missing task statement 3, 6. And domain 5, we're missing task statement 5, 6. Oh, actually we have it right here, right? So I think we're good, but, you know, I'm just so bad about it. Okay, so... You mentioned earlier that for domain 3, we're missing task statement 3.6, which I just verified from my own Google Doc that we are. Can you generate that visual along with the thread that's running below one more time? That way we can just kind of close off that loop and make sure we have all that information. So now that we know we have all this working model in here. So now we got it, right? So you gotta check AI sometimes. Sometimes AI misses stuff too. The exam trap, yo. That's how they try to get you. That's how they try to get you, man. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to go back over here, and then I'm just going to go ahead and make sure we have, dang, look at how long this one is. Can't believe we missed this. Missing from the dock, trying to do me dirty. Okay, now we have all this information. Give me a highly searchable YouTube title. I was thinking understanding domain task statements and the vocabulary lists. What do you think? Give me a highly searchable YouTube title. We just recorded 46 minutes total from this entire session. So I'm actually going to go out there and take this. Should it be CCA-F or should we spell it out entirely? Got it. Okay. All right. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to take this. This title here is actually better for my previous YouTube, so I'm going to go out there and update that. Champs, let's go ahead and get it. Resources are coming soon. WAP community, talk to y'all very soon. But stop wasting time. Schedule us if you guys are ready to go out there and actually get the best product manager and for deployed engineering jobs. For everybody else that's actually watching this, you guys now need to go ahead and you need to create this curriculum on your own too, which is actually like create this build in public, because the people that are going to get hired that are in my program, like it's going to come down to who they feel like can resonate. This is what companies are hiring for right now, is this feeling of like they want to see all this up front. You know, when people are asking like, oh, can I get referred to this? They're going to want to see, this is what they really want to see, is like, can you go, because they want to feel that there's already a long inventory, a huge list of people that are going for product manager and forward deployed engineering roles right now. And a lot of them, I don't mean to sound mean, it's just bad because like it's just bad because they're just like, yo, if they don't feel like they can do this on their own, they're just going to shut down and either go back to work or doing it in some other way, or feel like, yo, this, you know, so many people that's actually enrolled said, if I have to go out there and do all 4 of the learning modules, which is right here with the current instruction, like it's just not possible. It's not even like worth my time, right? So you don't actually want to go ahead and do that. It's going to come down to how much they like the way that you communicate. That's exactly how I've been developing my business on the side, is they feel that, all right, if that dude, bro can go out there and actually, he's putting it in a language where my team feels like it's possible for them. And it's going to feel a lot less painful versus, oh, it's complicated. Like you start off the like any type of solution to any type of question that people are asking you, you're already kind of like halfway out the door because they're like, well, okay, it's GG, then like I guess we shouldn't even bother. And a lot of people are going to be like, I don't have the time because it's so uncomfortable. My head hurts so much. I just feel more anxiety that like I'm not going to be able to learn this. I'm never going to be able to learn this. I might as well just start thinking about doing something else. Or like other people start just getting very negative where they're just like, AI is just not going to be, and they're just like, no, you want people to feel empowered and inspired. Those are what's gonna land you the $400, $500, $600, $700, $800,000 roles and above. And the people that can actually train up people that can do this, where it's just like, I know I'm not doing it at the level that I can, or like the market, because the more we raise up the bar, companies are going to be like, we want it like that. So schedule a call with us if you guys have not already. But most importantly, start on this right now. Don't wait up.